Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I hope you had a great Super Bowl weekend. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily as we now count down to the Olympic hockey tournament. Best on best, finally. Well, it's not quite here yet. We got to wait till Thursday for Canada to play, but that is going to dominate our conversations over the next little bit, as well as everything else happening from the Olympic Games. But today we've actually got quite a bit of football to get to. Of course, the NFL season is over. The Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champions. Sam Darnold gets a ring with his new team, the Seahawks. We'll dive into that, everything else around the Super Bowl as well. And then tomorrow, the official open of CFL free agency. Derek Taylor, voice of the Bombers on 680 CJOB. No, he was watching the game yesterday. We'll get his thoughts on the Super Bowl, as well as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers heading into the official opening of free agency. Connor Remis and I will spend some time diving into the upcoming men's Olympic hockey tournament. We've got some lines to talk about coming out of the weekend. We'll do that at the top of hour 2. And then a little later on, our pal Josh Fream's going to jump on. Want to get his thoughts on Super Bowl 60, the end of the playoffs, and now look ahead to the NFL offseason. So lots to get to. We are planning on doing, and Remis and I'll get our thoughts in and probably go into a few of these lines, but we will do a little Olympic betting special tomorrow, 2:30. Pat and Jake are going to jump on, and before the tournament gets going, we'll lock in our favorite picks for Canada as well as the tournament, so that should be fun. But today, Olympics, Olympic hockey, and a lot of football, so great to have you all with us here on the program. Just before we bring in Michael Remis and get the show officially underway, big thanks to all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet, the Winnipeg Jets. Going to be a while before we see the Jets back in action. But if you do want to join us for one of the final 2 WST games of the month this year, we've got the Thursday game in March against the Tampa Bay Lightning and a Saturday night game against Philly in April. You can pick up your seats at winnipegjets.com/WST. I'm going to have to get to an off-season power poll for the NFL now that the Super Bowl's done for Chuds Power Sports. This week, of course, Princess Auto, Clean Line will be all over the lines for Canada in the Clean Line segment, and Connor's going to join us. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Also, of course, Princess Auto, Uptown Alley, St. Mattel Dental Center and Canadian Club, Rollies Transfer, Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, the St. B Mega Millions Lottery, and our friends at Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge. We'll also get to a why not question of the day. Good to see everybody in chat. What's going on? Fired up to see our Canadian women take on the Czechs this afternoon. That game getting underway in about an hour. And Michael Remis joins me now. Rima, what's up? How was the weekend?
Yeah, great weekend. Fired up for the Olympics. We got the rule with the kids in the house that they can watch all the TV they want as long as it's on Olympics. Limits on other content, but Olympics full go at our household, on all the time, flipping between the channels, Sportsnet, TSN, CBC. I'll tune into NBC coverage as well. So dialed in, but starting to get fired up.
What sports? Any sports have caught their eye? Young kids. What are they connecting with?
I don't think so. Games? Big Air's been on. I see it's on right now for women. Watch the men's final. I mean, it's kind of cool, like how often they flip. Biathlon. Or no. It was skiathlon was on the other day. I've seen some other biathlon stuff, some speed skating. Whatever's been on, we've been taking it in. So I think it's been great. Yeah, downhill was out. So I'm watching all of it. I have it on all the time. You've been up watching all the Olympics where, they're showing the evening coverage us, and you're like, I've seen this already like 2 times. It's the 3rd time around. So Saturday, I was on all day. The women's hockey as well. Canada finally starting, and we'll have another game this afternoon in an hour. So I'm loving it. It's fun, and now we'll have the hockey to look forward to.
Yeah, the only way you can really, truly enjoy primetime coverage is if you just don't pay attention during the day.
Yeah.
Like if you're off doing other things, then you throw on the Olympics, having not known what's happened. You can basically watch it as if it's live. Unfortunately, most things are happening a little earlier. Hey, just before we dive into that, dubious anniversary today, which we always have to acknowledge. Feb 9, Remis.
Yes.
5 years ago today, we were just getting out of our conference call with the tall foreheads at Bell, letting us all know that our beloved former station, TSN 1290, was no more. Can you believe that's 5 years ago today?
No, I can't actually. And it's been so long that I didn't even realize, the first couple years ago, oh man, Feb 9, like that was the day that they shut the station down, that it really changed everything for us, moving here and for our listeners as well, coming on. So I hadn't even realized today. And then I saw a Facebook post from a colleague who said, hey, it was 5 years ago today. I got laid off, started a new business, and now I'm here. So it feels, I guess it feels more and more distant, Huss. But I was surprised to see that, actually. I knew it was around. I was probably thinking about it last week, and I was so focused on this, I didn't even realize.
So 5 years ago today was the day, and I guess we won't have a show on our official anniversary, but March 8th will be it'll be a Sunday Live that day. That's the official 5-year anniversary of Winnipeg Sports Talk. We'll have to do something fun for that, maybe on the Friday, heading into that weekend or something like that. But yeah, listen, I just bring that up because I do want to shout out all of our fellow TSN orphans. Obviously, we're over here. Brandon's doing his thing at Skates and Plates. Toast over at OB. But so many other pals. Rick Ralph, who's out in Calgary, and Westy, who is doing all sorts of things. Still getting heated on Twitter as well. Some things never change. But all of our pals from the old station, shout them out. And as they say, for us, I mean, we think back to that day. It was, it was a stressful one. It was a stressful time. But for all of you that are listening to this program, and especially the ones that are regulars with us on a daily basis in the YouTube chat, and just everyone that supported us over the last 5 years, we greatly appreciate it. It's so much fun to do this each and every day, and the way that it's all turned out has been pretty darn fun for us. So, listen, it's not just here in Winnipeg. I mean, our pal Marshall Ferguson out in Hamilton, though he's obviously still working with the company on TSN. Of course, our boys Sakaris and Price out in Vancouver. I will say this: it's amazing that the stations out east are still alive. I mean, like 1050 is basically Overdrive, which is an elite show, and obviously they get a lot of love on television as well. But it is nice to see that the Montreal guys are still kicking around. AJ Jakubek and Ottawa still there. Too bad that there is no footprint whatsoever in Western Canada anymore. But as I say, that was just an opportunity for all of us. So, yes, February 9th, the day that always pops up on our calendar with some dubious connotations. All right, listen, we're going to spend some time talking Olympic hockey with Connor when he joins us at the top of the hour. Derek Taylor coming up next. But Remo, Sammy Darts, Super Bowl champion. Bit of a dud game, if I'm being honest. But I did have Seattle on the spread. I had Seattle to win by 13-18. Had some nice props on Cooper Kupp and Rashid Shaheed. So overall, I was in quite good spirits after it was done, and we certainly don't have to talk about a resurgence of any Patriots dynasty.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad game. It took me a while to realize, hey, this game, you're getting all hyped up for the Super Bowl. You're making all your picks, planning your parties, planning on what you're going to eat, ready for a great game. You got, nice anthem, America the Beautiful. Everyone's there, a lot of legends. They're showing the celebs in the stands. And, through the first quarter, like, hey, this game sucks, hey? This is terrible. And a lot of the jokes saying, hey, well, unmask the Super Bowl. It was actually Thursday Night Football. But, a great defensive masterclass by the Seahawks. And we had kind of said, hey, the Patriots, they hadn't really played any tough teams. And Sam Darnold, he didn't make any mistakes. He didn't make any exceptional plays, maybe missed some throws, but they got some great running from Ken Walker. The defense shut down Drake May. And I do wonder, I know Drake May had an injury going into the game. I don't know if that was talked about enough. I think he mentioned that he did have an injection before the game, and maybe that's something that was underplayed because some of the throws not there, and some of the reads, throwing the ball into the other team pretty much. So it was disappointing from that part. But if you're a Patriots hater, which there are many out there, no matter who's under center, probably loved that game and loved seeing the Seahawks. So a bit of an interesting season where you didn't have, the usual Chiefs, Ravens, Bills get to the Super Bowl. You had some, Seahawks with Sam Darnold, who would have thought, at quarterback, and Drake May. So it didn't have the star power of other Super Bowls, but you had a deserving champion for sure.
Yeah, we all missed Mahomes and the Chiefs on the weekend. Really through the entire AFC. Lamar, Burrow. It was just a really weird year in the AFC with a whole bunch of the top teams not being there through a variety of circumstances. And then kind of a war of attrition between a bunch of teams that, had things happen to them. C.J. Stroud was terrible for Houston. Bo Nix gets hurt. Patriots are the last man standing, but they really didn't have much yesterday. Now, listen, T. Will's in chat, and knowing T. Will, I'm assuming this is sarcastic. But he said, does this mean I need to respect Sammy Darts now like Nick Foles, or can I continue to ignore him like Trent Dilfer? You can't ignore him anymore. And he should not be in the same conversation as Trent Dilfer. The Darnold career arc is one of the most incredible storylines. And I'm not even just going to say in the NFL. I think, in North American pro sports, obviously I'm not as familiar with, some of the other sports internationally, but to be such a high pick, to come into the league at 20, to be labeled a bust just 3 years later, bounce around Carolina with Baker Mayfield, backing up in San Francisco, and then going to Minnesota for another opportunity, having the dream season, but then getting lit up in the playoffs and being out right away, there was still a big question mark. All those wins seem to not matter. And he's only the second quarterback outside of Brady to win 14 games in consecutive seasons, the first player ever to do it with different teams. And while it was not a spectacular quarterbacking performance yesterday, Remis, you can thank the Seattle defense and the Patriots for that, because they simply didn't need to take any chances. I believe he finishes as the only quarterback, the only offense ever to go through the playoffs with no turnovers, 0. They took care of the football. They ran it. He did make some nice plays early on in the game, a few third downs, a couple throws into tight windows. And obviously they had a couple big plays to Shaheed. I thought Christian Gonzalez was incredible yesterday. If he didn't have the first half that he did have, we could have been talking about a 20-point game by the time the Bad Bunny thing started. So Darnold deserves all of his flowers. And if you think about outdueling Matt Stafford in the NFC Championship game, and to me, the biggest, most important game of the entire year was that Thursday nighter between the Rams and Seahawks a few weeks ago that in a lot of ways determined the 1 seed. That 38-37 in overtime, he came up and had monster games when his team needed it. And yesterday wasn't a time to go for the MVP. It was about go out, let your defense beat the hell out of Drake May and the Patriots for 60 minutes and put the hat on afterwards, do the interviews, and then go to Disney World and have a parade.
Yeah, that Super Bowl was kind of like the one the Patriots won over the Rams a couple of years ago. You want to go back to the Buccaneers over the Raiders, or the Ravens, with Trent Dilfer over the Giants, where you had that dominating defensive performance where the quarterback, all he has to do is not make mistakes, and Sam Darnold did that yesterday. You know, as you mentioned, no turnovers throughout the playoffs, which is incredible for the offense. Now they did what that is in 3 games there. But while he wasn't MVP yesterday, I mean, he was excellent, as you mentioned, in those games going head-to-head with Matt Stafford. And, we had thought that NFC Championship game was kind of like a Super Bowl, with those two teams and the high scoring and the last-second nature. Kind of lived up to that after watching that dud game yesterday, but it was impressive to watch them make Drake May look so ordinary. And they did have some nice plays by Christian Gonzalez, but it was the Seahawks getting into field goal range over and over again. I thought maybe for a second Myers, the kicker, was going to get MVP, which we've never seen. But I thought Ken Walker was the choice, and he was the one who drove their offense. And there wasn't really a standout defensive player for me. So, I stuck it out through the whole game. Wasn't the most entertaining. We've been pretty lucky over the last 10, 20 years even of Super Bowls going down to the wire. Yesterday was not one of them. Probably be very forgettable in a couple of years, but congrats to Sam Darnold. Incredible story. A guy who was a total bust out of the league, and it just shows you, I think it just shows you like, you have to come in and be in the right situation. When you're plopped on to the New York Jets, it's not a recipe for success for anyone because they had a pretty good season the year before with Gino Smith, who was also on the New York Jets. So
Speaking of Gino, I mean, is there a bigger loser from yesterday than Gino Smith? I mean, and I was talking with Dusty on the Lock Shop. We were looking up the quarterback values, and this is the thing about Seattle. Like, Sam Darnold signed a 3-year, $100 million deal. He's making $33 million. Gino Smith's making $37.5.
Wow.
They actually moved. They traded Gino, got pieces back. I think got a pick or something from the Raiders. They signed Sam Darnold for less money than Gino Smith. He wins they move on from Gino. They win the Super Bowl with Darnold, and the team that gets Gino finishes dead last and is picking first overall. That's a tough look. That is definitely a tough look. But as I said, Sam got it done. He's got his ring. I mean, is he a top 5 quarterback in the league? No one's saying that, but he's certainly, I think based on what he did this year, you can make an argument that he's, in and around the top 10. And bottom line is he's amongst a much smaller group of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, but it does come back to the defense. I think back to those Legion of Boom teams 10 years ago around when the Seahawks won last. There was a lot of similarities to that group. Maybe not the big electric personalities, the Shermans and whatnot, but oh my God, were they good. They just gave New England nothing. And man, that was a long day at the office for Drake May. But, while we're talking about Darnold, let me throw the why not question of the day out for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. And this is for Viking fans. T-Will, is T-Will a Viking fan?
I know Steelers. He likes Steelers.
Oh, yeah, Steelers. That's right. This is specifically if you're a Vikes player, a Vikes fan, because I know there's a lot of them around here. How did you feel seeing the guy that, the team let get away finish the job this year after another 14-3 season? I've got some close friends that are Viking fans that were very conflicted about all of this. Felt really good for Sam. It was great to see him do it. But then thinking about the way their season went, what they gave up on, it was sort of tough to see. So I am interested in you Viking fans, how you feel about seeing the guy that you let go move on and win the Super Bowl. While we see what people have to say on that, Reem, what did you think about everything else around the game? Did you tune in to the halftime show with Bad Bunny, or were you on YouTube looking for alternative programming?
Yeah, was it halftime heat with The Rock and Mankind? They still have that going from a couple of years ago.
Good call.
Puppy Bowl around, although I did see the dog who won the Puppy Bowl just passed away the day after winning us.
What?
Yeah. Legit. That was legit.
That's horrible.
Yes, the
What
adorable
does a puppy die the next day?
the adorable winner died. Tegan? Anyways. Sorry to make it really dark there. Bad Bunny, I watched with my wife.
Horrible.
It was a cool set. I thought, cool. They cut to them at an alternative location. But they like brought in people wearing the grass and to make a field there. It looked like they were a Field of Dreams coming out to play at the field, and I didn't really know any of the songs. Like I bet on first. I do a pool with a group of friends. I bet on first song. It's always fun to bet on first song because usually you know if you won or not right away. And I had no idea, but I don't know. My wife was into the beat. A nice cameo from Lady Gaga. Ricky Martin was in there. I don't know if you knew he's actually on a TV show now as well. So he's kind of hasn't totally disappeared, but I thought it was fine. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I wasn't like, this is amazing, but it was, I don't know, good production. That's about it for me.
Yeah, the production was cool. I mean, like it's all in Spanish. I don't know what a North American audience is going to get out of it. Like, I'm with you. I mean, the music, I guess, was pretty good. I probably heard those songs a million times in Costa Rica. I mean, he's so huge in Spanish-speaking areas and countries. But again, yeah, like no one knew. I think that, I mean, listen, I guess there maybe are a few English-speaking people that are that dialed into world music that they knew some of the songs or whatever. I certainly was not in that category. And again, like I said before, I could care less about about the halftime show. Usually that's time to get away, talk about the first half, grab something to eat, take a walk, and then get ready for the third quarter. I mean, all the manufactured outrage around it was hilarious to me. But at the end of the day, if you really want to know why they had the choice of what they did, top streamed artist in the world, I think, even ahead of Taylor Swift. The question was, would it go over or under 135.5 million million viewers? It did. And listen, if you got the world's most popular artist at the same time when the NFL is trying to advance all of their international expansion, and they just announced 9 games, including places like another game in Brazil or Rio de Janeiro, they're bringing in a whole bunch of new eyeballs. Like, they don't need me or you to watch that game. We're locked in. It doesn't matter who is at halftime. We're going to be there. Those numbers, at the end of the day, that's what they're looking for. Eyeballs on their sets. It obviously accomplished it. So as they say, Bad Bunny, it was kind of a meh. I mean, I guess basically the actual product. But like I said yesterday on Twitter, Reem, I'm actually a Bad Bunny guy. Not having anything to do with his music because I'm not that familiar with it. But a couple of years ago, he had arguably the greatest celebrity run in WWE history and did have a San Juan street fight match with fellow Puerto Rican Damian Priest in San Juan. And if you haven't seen this, I tweeted this out yesterday. Even if you don't watch the match, you got to watch the intro of Bad Bunny. It's one of the most electric things I've ever seen in wrestling. So he's a lover of the squared circle. He took it very seriously. He was amazing. So I always had a soft spot for Bad Bunny because of his WWE time, not because of anything I knew about his music catalog, which is obviously hugely popular around the world.
I learned about who he was from SNL. He was like in every skit on SNL 50 last year. He was the caddy and Happy Gilmore 2, which as well. So look, yeah, the halftime, a lot of the memes were flying. The joke that keeps getting made over and over is, he held the football during the performance, said he, ran for more yards in halftime than the Patriots did in the first half. That was the number one joke. Everyone Everyone was saying that. I swear, everyone's making that joke. So, it's going to bring you some viral moments there. And yeah, I mean, as you said it, I mean, they're trying to reach this global audience. They don't care. We're going to watch anyways. So they're trying to bring non-football fans. So I sat there, with my wife. We watched it. She enjoyed it. Good music. Knew some of it sounded familiar, but we'll see what they do next year, how they're going to top that one. Where's the Super Bowl next year? 61.
Got to get the biggest Chinese pop star to come in.
Well, yeah. Was it K-pop?
Billions of people.
Yeah,
maybe a Bollywood.
K-pop? Yeah, I don't know what they're going to... Yeah, who cares? Just go for the biggest. So, amazing how many people watch this thing. That is pretty crazy.
Nick Lyman. What's up, Nick? Hope you're feeling good, dude. Huss, you excited for the Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania this year? I would be all over that. I hesitated from saying the greatest ever because Bad Bunny was amazing. Logan Paul's like on a whole nother level, but he's kind of like regularly in it now. But it is wild to see these guys that had not had any experience in it, perform the way that they did. All right, we are going to talk a little more Super Bowl and CFL free agency with DT, Derek Taylor. We'll get to the Olympic hockey when Connor jumps on the program at the top of the hour. Before we do that, folks, looking for a great time this winter, why don't you head down to Uptown Alley at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. If you haven't checked out the new facility they've got since they moved out west, you're missing out big time. Huge facility with tons of 5-pin lanes, 10-pin lanes, a state-of-the-art arcade, and all sorts of dining areas for small groups and large groups alike, with incredible food and beverage options. Best place in town for birthday parties for kids, teens, and adults. And an amazing spot for group and corporate outings. And they'll take care of everything for you. Basically, just let them know what your activities you want, what you want to eat, any add-ons, and their event staff will take care of it all for you. Go over to uptownalley.ca for more information on bookings. And don't forget, every night after 9 o'clock, their bowl and play specials in effect. 90 minutes of bowling, a $10 arcade card, all for just $20.50. 488-0000. And uptownalley.ca. Pop down and see him, 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. Shout out to our friends at Rolly's Transfer as we move on into the NFL offseason. Many of you may have moves planned, and if you are moving in Winnipeg or southern Manitoba, lean on Rolly's, the most trusted name in moving for over 60 years. Family-owned and operated. Check out their website at rollys.com and click on Request an Estimate. Use that promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to go. And they'll turn it around. Their friendly staff will get you a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that Rolly's is famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today at rollys.com. We're getting outside right now. It's beautiful. The weather's great. But there are still some things that while you're enjoying this side of winter, you need to take care of. And that, of course, might include a trip to the dentist. Has it been a minute? Are you looking for a great long-term home for you and your family? Lean on our pal Dr. Terry and the great folks at St. Vital Dental Center. They've been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans and now have a beautiful new facility, 167 St. Anne's Road, with convenient free parking right behind the building. And, of course, a full array of dental services from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants for clients from 6 months to 99 plus. For all your dental needs, St. Vital Dental Center is waiting for you. Say hi to Dr. Terry and his great staff and tell him that WST sent you, stvitaldental.ca to make a booking. And just before we bring in Derek Taylor, cheers to the Seattle Seahawks, your 2026 Super Bowl champions. If you're thinking about cheersing some good times, do it with Canada's best Canadian whiskey, the original Canadian Club since 1848. And, of course, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We're going to talk Bombers coming up with DT. Not that long before we're going to be back with the CC and Ginger in hand at Princess Auto Stadium, where, of course, it's available throughout. But in the meantime, get the great taste of Canadian Club, Canada's original Canadian whiskey, at your local Manitoba liquor marts. All right, let's welcome in the voice of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Derek Taylor from CGOB. DT, what's going on? How are you?
Good. I need to visit Puerto Rico based on what I saw in the Super Bowl halftime last night. That was friggin' unbelievable. Oh my God. I don't mean to curse, but that was friggin' unbelievable how good that show was.
So you actually liked it?
I loved it. Like the storytelling that went on in there. And okay, everything was in Spanish. I speak 8 words of Spanish.
Yeah,
so
that's a bit of an issue I found for most people.
Yeah, but I mean, think about what we saw. Like all of a sudden, here's a what was it, a cornfield? Like all of a sudden, here's this. They transform this agricultural field on there, and then he's in town, and there's a kid in the barber shop, and there's an old lady running the corner store, and like this is amazing. Oh, by the way, here's a nod to the fact that Puerto Rico didn't have power for 6 months after a hurricane. Like it was phenomenal. Just the artistry. It's become the last few, I don't know, my wife and I were discussing this, the last 3, 4 have become a lot about storytelling, right? Like you think of the Eminem one in Detroit, brought all his buddies and there's all the cars and it's a street. This was a trip through Puerto Rico where I've never been. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Little nod to the weekend as he's, weekend open, walking through that glass box, that glass maze. Here's Bad Bunny walking through, that, let's call it a cornfield because I don't know exactly what it was. I'm not that agriculturally inclined. But I thought it was awesome, though I did not understand a word, and Bad Bunny's not in my rotation, but I just thought the spectacle of it and the logistics of it, Huss. Oh my God.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the one thing you can rest assured every year that the Super Bowl halftime show is going to be spectacular in its scope, in everything that is around it. And as I say, I could care less about the halftime show. I'm there for the game, and I'm usually probably not even watching most of the halftime unless there's maybe a bet on what the first song was. That was funny. We did bet that and then had to find out what was the first song because we do not know any of the songs.
Ricky Martin pops in there. Like, Huss, we're getting older, but Ricky Martin is not. Like, that hurts.
I pop for Ricky. He's still bringing it. I think he's got some new show too. But anyways, I just thought a lot of the manufactured outrage around it was ridiculous. But that's the year that's the world we live in 2026. The bottom line was the New England Patriots got freaking stomped yesterday. They say defense wins championships, and it sure as hell did. I got a lot of love. Sam Darnold, magical season, magical just career arc. It's something we'll be talking about forever. And listen, he had to play at an incredibly high level to get the team there, outdueling Matt Stafford in the NFC Championship and that insane Thursday nighter that really determined home field in the NFC West. But that was a day for Seattle's defense and a long day at the office for Drake May.
Well, and New England's defense too, right? Like in the early stages, how many balls did almost get picked off? Right? How many? Darnold was thrown into super tight windows, and Patriots coming downhill, and there's one where the safety slipped, or also I thought, oh, there's another one that could have gone bad. Like both defenses were on point, and Seattle would have these long drives, but it was 12-0, right? That's 4 field goals. You go, okay, as much as they started on their 9 or whatever and drove down to field goal range, they didn't get in the end zone for quite a long time in that game until the Drake May turnover late, at which point I flipped it off and then watched Necessary Roughness on one of the super channels because that's a good football. Those were good football games in Necessary Roughness with Scott Bakula and Kathy Ireland. But Super Bowl 60 was not the best, not the most entertaining football game though. Man, defense was on in that game on both sides.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just the whole season was weird in that. Everything that happened in the AFC. I mean, the Chiefs not making the playoffs, Baltimore not making it. I mean, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. I mean, their season was basically done 2 weeks in when he got the high ankle sprain. I have to say, I mean, this was probably, and it's so ironic, but these teams, they're often named in misery. That was probably a really, really tough watch for Bills fans and for Viking fans.
Yep. That's yeah, absolutely. Viking fans of what could have been, but we drafted the mistake was drafting JJ in the first round, right? JJ McCarthy. Sam really bombed it in the playoffs last year. He was good enough this year, right? In those two playoff games, he was good enough. And yeah, Vikings fans kicking themselves. Justin Jefferson going, I can't just have that. Just competent quarterbacking. And New England, I wonder what New England's thinking, because, they thought they did all the right things. Hey, we're going to get this kid to play left tackle at number 4 overall, and Will Anderson's
he had a rough day.
Right off the bat, it was funny. I was watching with my wife, and she was kind of half watching, and the first thing I thought is, okay, like the first play, all right, Will Anderson, on this first pass play, how are you going to hold up? And he just gets walked right back into Drake May. I'm like, that's not good. That's not going to be great for Will, but he's got some. We've seen other like top end draft tackles get beat up as rookies and then figure it out. So we'll see what's to come. But Drake May's better than what he showed in that game and had a chance to show in that game, because line play. It's so much of it. It's so dumb. We'll spend so much time talking about quarterbacks and receivers and why don't you get a running back? And honestly, if your line gets clobbered by their line, none of those guys matter, it seems like.
Well, that's a nice little segue over to what our Winnipeg Blue Bombers are up to right now. Locking down the number 1 name on the board as we officially get to free agency this week in Broxton out of BC. Hammer and I were in Costa Rica last week, and I don't know why I was like, I knew the tampering period was opening. I figured we'd hear some stuff, but I wasn't really ready for the onslaught of news from the Bombers last weekend, and a very different approach to free agency this year. As aggressive as we've ever seen this team. I think it's a very clear message that last year wasn't good enough, and a missed opportunity hosting the Grey Cup at home. But you want to talk about the line of scrimmage. That's exactly where they started with their big swings in free agency.
Yeah, and when they let Jamarcus Hardrick get off to Saskatchewan that year, I think it was Jamarcus, it was Brady, Oliveira, and Dalton Schoen. And they said Brady and Dalton Schoen, we're going to bring them back. We're going to let Jamarcus go. He got the biggest offensive lineman contract that year for an American, over $200,000. And I wonder if this is kind of a nod to, we probably should have kept Jamarcus in the office then. Broxton comes in. I mean, they give him reportedly $250,000. He's been a left-sided guy in the CFL. They have the best left tackle in the history of the Canadian Football League, perhaps, than Stanley Bryant. So how will they manage that? And when you take the Broxton signing, you go, okay, they're serious about offensive line, which you should be, because I don't think we have a lot of elite tackles in this league, and Broxton certainly counts as one. But you bring him in and you go, and you bring in Tommy Neal, then I go, oh, this actually bought them a lot of flexibility and a lot of ability to adapt to injuries this season. You want 3 Canadian receivers? Okay, Dembski, Neal +1. You want 3 American offensive linemen? Okay, you got that. You want 3 Canadian offensive linemen and 3 American receivers? Okay, you can do that. To me, those two moves in conjunction, but mostly the Broxton, let's not kid ourselves, buy them a lot of flexibility and firm up what's been, I think, a sore point, Huss, for fans the last couple of years. You know what?
Let's get back to that first kind of question for the Bombers that you mentioned. Assuming Stanley Bryant is healthy and good to go, does he stay at the left tackle? Do they move Broxton to the right? And then, if Stan needs days off or, is unavailable at times, you've got a piece you can put right in there and not miss a beat.
Someone had mentioned to me that Broxton played the right side in college. When I look back at what he did in BC, he's only been a left-sided player. He had 5 starts at left guard and 30+ at left tackle. I feel like my inclination is the first ballot guaranteed Hall of Famer Ring of Honor guy stays at left tackle, and we ask Broxton to shift to right tackle, because I'm not of the mind that one is particularly more important than the other. They both need to block their butts off to keep Zach clean. So my inclination is that Broxton slides across, or they haven't played left guard. How interesting would it be? Kendall Randolph stays at right tackle. Broxton plays left guard. I don't think they'll do that, but I think they may have the option to do that one. So yeah, I just feel like 66 at left tackle is the play just maybe out of a nod of respect and what he's done for 15 years in this, like what seems like 15 years in this league.
Very important, though. They do obviously have a bit of a succession plan. I mean, it's incredible that he's still going at the level that he is. We always say Father Time is undefeated. Stan keeps on getting one over on him every year, but at a certain point, I mean, he will hang them up, and you don't want to take a massive step back at that position in particular. Obviously, it's all about protecting the quarterback. We know Zach is the guy this year. He's got 1 year left. Give us your thoughts on the competition for roster spots, and is there a guy? I mean, that Bryce Perkins is kind of an interesting player, more experienced, a little bit older than some of the quarterbacks that have come up to North before. How do you see things shaking out at the quarterback position, or might there still be another ad?
Yeah, you'd think Perkins has the inside track to be the number 2, despite the fact he's new to the team, right? Like you mentioned, he's 29. He was the MVP of the UFL. Terry Wilson has been around for 2 years, but I don't know that he's done anything to grab that job by the throat and say, yes, I'm the number 2. If Strebler wasn't here, I would be the number 2. So to me, I feel like it maybe should be Perkins, but loyalty is obviously a big thing to this organization. So just as I look at that, to me, it would be Zach, it'd be Perkins, and then who's going to be the number 3? They kept Chase Artopius around all last year on the practice roster. He got onto the roster for a couple of spots when Zach was injured. Peyton Thorne's the guy they signed. We won't really know till we see how they start doing things in camp and see what Tommy Condell likes as the new offensive coordinator. But yeah, it's going to be a change. So who's going to be the Chris Strebler short yardage guy, and who's going to be the legit number 2 this year?
I mean, I don't think I've seen, and correct me if you feel differently, that they have a lot of faith in Terry Wilson at all. And he was ahead of Artopius. I mean, I do wonder whether both of those guys might be on the outside looking in when final cuts are made.
Everything. They won't say anything bad. Like, no one said anything bad about Terry Wilson, but just as fans, when we look at it and go, well, why isn't he getting a shot here? This would be a shot where you could play Terry Wilson and see what's up. I think you're on in that. Do they believe Terry Wilson can succeed? Terry then goes out in that Montreal game and has an unbelievable scramble where it was an Ento. He just clobbered at the goal line on that run going toward the south end. But what have they done to make us think that they believe Terry Wilson can be the next guy, the succession plan? So I think you're on that, because it just doesn't. There's nothing about it that feels like it. And then in that final 18th game against Montreal, a couple of picks, or a couple of balls that should have been picked, one that Dequoy did take away. You go, okay, we're still looking for the next Drew Brown. Unfortunately, Drew Brown came along 5 years too early.
Yeah, the timing wasn't ideal to have to lose Drew right in the middle of that Grey Cup window, and I'm interested to see what he does this year with the Din Whistle now in Ottawa. That's another team that was, they basically just showed up in Regina and with a bunch of contracts on the first day. It took half of the riders. We'll get to that in a minute, but just back to the line of scrimmage for a minute. You get Broxton on one side. What do you think of Serezna coming to the peg?
Like Serezna, I'm just trying to think of guys who, like, he's in the top level defensive tackles in the last 5 years in the Canadian Football League, from Ottawa to Edmonton to Toronto to Edmonton and now to Winnipeg. Like, he's a guy who makes a difference, and a guy who gives Jordan Younger, the defensive coordinator, a lot of flexibility, because we saw in his time under Chris Jones in Edmonton, he's rushing from the inside, he's rushing from the outside. And you saw Younger last year go, okay, well, we're going to go 3 defensive tackles. It's going to be 3 defensive ends. We're going to have guys be the stand-up guy. Willie's going to come inside and the end's going to rush from the outside. Like, Serezna will give Jordan Younger kind of whatever he wants to do. And when he's healthy, Serezna's a destroyer from the inside. 12 sacks 1 year, 10 sacks another, 8 sacks another year. He almost certainly won't hit those numbers the way Winnipeg likes to deploy on the defensive side, but that guy's a force. So it's really interesting, Huss, to see how they pivoted on that, right? It's been young Americans. It's been first contract or early second contract American defensive tackles with Jamal Woods, Ricky Walker, Casey Sales, Stove Richardson. Like, you go back to Euclid Cummings for the last time they had a second contract defensive tackle, right? It's been a while. And the same at corner with the Moxie move. Those are two real dramatic pivots in how they've chosen to spend their free agent dollars in the last, let's say, 6-7 years.
What are you looking at in the roster now, knowing the moves, the priorities that have already been covered? As we get to tomorrow and deals start being signed, I mean, of the rest of the players that are available, where do you think the Bombers are going to be kind of focusing in to improve the squad?
Yeah, I think linebacker is set. I think defensive line, to me, is probably set. We got a late look at Kadron Jenkins and Matt Jaworski in that final regular season game, and you left that game going, well, those guys, maybe they have some promise there, right, to play opposite Willie Jefferson. Defensive backfield, a lot of guys in there, including some CFL veteran additions. I would love to see another American receiver in the mix, another veteran American receiver in the mix. I kind of wished it had been Jareth Stearns, but he's apparently agreed to a deal with Montreal. But it's Pokey Wilson and Tim White, to me, a couple of guys who are in that number 2 range in the Canadian Football League, and then it's Canadians and American rookies. So I would love if there's, I don't know how he fits into this, but a guy like Shamar Bridges, who was the East Rookie of the Year, and if I'm not mistaken, the Rookie of the Year in would have been the Rookie of the Year in 2024, almost 1,000 yards, still not attached to any team and not rumored to be connected to any team. Just some American presence and options, at least from a veteran perspective. I think I would very much enjoy a lot of options on the offensive line. They'll need some more Canadian ones, it looks like, in the draft. But yeah, they're in a pretty good spot on that defense to be the number 1 defense again in the Canadian Football League.
They did sign a running back with NFL experience, Johnson. Very rare that a guy gets signed to the Bombers that I've had on the waiver wire of my fantasy team at some point, but this was the case. I mean, it was just an interesting signing, knowing that Brady is the guy. They're spending big money on him. And do we think that Johnson's going to be the number 2?
Oh, can we have some shuttle bus level excitement? Remember what Quentin Cooley was for a couple weeks, right?
Yes.
The preseason, the shuttle bus, and then the kickoffs went bad, and then he was all of a sudden gone.
That.
It was, yeah. It's you're trying some stuff, right? Who knows? Who knows what you might be able to need? Brady hurt his shoulder in that first game last season. They needed to flex for a couple weeks, and Quentin Cooley got a little action in there. So who knows what they're looking for? You might want a guy who could also factor in the return game as well, as much as Trey Vauvel is back to be maybe even a bigger star in 2026, I say with my fingers crossed. But yeah, it's worth a look, right?
No, it certainly is. Derek Taylor's with us, voice of the Bombers on 680 CJOB. How big of a hit did the Riders take over the course of the last week?
Did they? I mean, they're learning the lesson that I think people kind of downplayed how remarkable it was that the Bombers went to 5 straight Grey Cups because they lost the last 3. Oh, not that big a deal. This is what happens, right? Toronto after 2024 and Saskatchewan this year was, oh man, the Vultures are out when you win the Grey Cup. Right? Because you win the Grey Cup because guys outperform their contracts. They give you $250,000 worth of value for their $75,000 contract. And then all of a sudden the bill comes due for Keyshawn Johnson and AJ Allen and guys like this. And then all of a sudden other teams are like, hey, we want to take that. And, Ryan Dinwiddie's like, hey, can 3 of your guys come play on my defense? That'd be fantastic. So Sask really got beat. So it's up on them to figure out, okay, well, how do we get young guys in to fill these spots? They very clearly planted their flag on Jameer Thurman at middle linebacker. Roland Milligan's back for 2026. Guys like DeMarcus Fields, Marcus Sales, but CJ Revis gets away, and he was that dime safety guy. He could do just about anything in that back 6. They lost both their ends and then brought in James Vaughters. So, they were able to save from Malik Carney to James Vaughters. You save $100,000. They're going to have to figure out who plays offensive line, that Canadian offensive line spot. They're going to have to figure out what happens if Kean Schaefer-Baker, who we re-signed, gets injured. We don't have that same Canadian depth. They lose some American depth, obviously, with Dante Myers going to the NFL and Joe Robustelli, who was like the Week 14 fantasy superstar.
Oh yeah,
getting off there. That was the week I won the fantasy, is I had Joe Robustelli killing it for 147 yards. So they have to now go to market and, for minimum salaries, fill in these very important spots. And that's got to be an incredible challenge to, do we have the system that can bring in young guys and not, we don't get hurt too bad, because we can't afford A.J. Allen, C.J. Revis, and guys like this. And we have to give Samuel Emlis $280,000, whatever it was.
Yeah, that you knew that those invoices were going to come due for a lot of amazing seasons that Rider players had last year. And you can't keep them all, and not many of them are elsewhere in the Canadian Football League. Hey, before we go, how'd you enjoy your time moonlighting in for Kelly there as we kind of mercifully get to the Olympic break for the local hockey team?
It's so strange. Last year, I pop in. It's like, wow, this is the best team in the National Hockey League. And as I was prepping to take over in February, in January, I'm like, this team is out of the playoffs. Like, they're not making the playoffs. They were 7 teams and 9 points out, or 7 teams and 10 points out. Then they go on that nice little run in January, and now they're 5 teams and 9 points out. And you go, that's okay. They're not making the playoffs. So I'm curious to be, covering it at this time, because when they get back from the Olympic break, like they're sellers, right? Like in my heart, I've always kind of known they should be sellers, but how much can they sell in this market where you want to kind of remain competitive? How much should you sell when I hear Jim Toth talk about how good this draft looks, I go, oh, I would really like 1, 2, 3, 4, like a top 4 pick that they haven't had since Patrick Laine. Like it's a real interesting spot, but you try to talk about it nicely instead of going, can we get some Lamberts and some Jilkins up here and send some of these guys to teams that are going to be in the playoffs and just get on the rebuild for get Gavin McKenna to punch out guys in Winnipeg next season? Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, the McKenna thing was hilarious. Like, all that's going to do is boost his draft stock, because they know the guys, they're always, are these guys soft or whatever? Well, he knocked the guy out and broke his jaw, so that's another tick. And apparently he did it defending his mom, which makes him a character guy too. So
there you go.
He's not, but yeah, I mean, listen, to me, the big questions are around Stanley and Taves. I mean, I think those players would have some interest, and they both have really low salaries, which probably could get the team a bit of a premium, because the top teams would be able to fit those guys into their salary caps without really needing to, adjust it too much. I mean, we all know, last year's free agent class was the bust of busts. So, is there a taker for Gustav Nyquist? Tanner Pearson. I've got a lot of time for Cole Koepke, actually. If he stuck around and stayed in, I'd be here. I think he's a more than adequate fourth-line player, can kill penalties. But what will be interesting is if there's the potential of any of the players that have a bit of term. I love Alex Iafallo. I hope he doesn't go. I have a feeling there would be some teams at his rate that would certainly be interested in getting him. He's a guy that can make things happen in the playoffs. Niederreiter. I kind of do feel like the Jets could really use to upgrade Josh Morrissey's partner on that top pairing. Is there a spot for Dylan DeMello? All of those things have to be on the table, because outside of a pretty core group of players that are either on team control or signed to long-term deals, it's hard to make the argument that you couldn't be able to move some of the other pieces with the nod to the future, and to your point, get a little bit of time for some of these guys that are with the Moose to show what they can do and get some NHL experience based on a season that really right now is not really going to be about wins and losses. It's going to be more about luck in and around the draft lottery and seeing what they have right now that might be able to be impactful next season.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's a coincidence that Gus Nyquist got a lot of time those last 3 games, right? With the top line with the power play. I don't feel like that's necessarily a coincidence, because if you could turn Nyquist into some kind of draft pick, fantastic. Scheifele, Connor, Velarde, Perfetti, you can't trade now. Perfetti's better than what he would garner in a trade right now. So I can't imagine that. I love Iafallo just for the sake of they put him anywhere and they change him in the middle of the game and he's like, yep, cool, I'll take care of this. We're good here. Morrissey can't go. Hellebuck obviously can't go. I'm kind of, if Jonathan Taves would want to go or he wants to stay, Jonathan Taves to me gets to call the shots on that. But Niederreiter, I love him, but Nemestikov, I love him, but if some team is interested in them and would give me something for him, and if any of the rumors about Logan Stanley are remotely true, like thank you for your service. You've had a great year, but somebody's going to give us a 1 or a nice 2 to be on their second power play. Thank you, but we're going to take that and go. To me, I don't know the whatever the Jets are dealing with as far as attracting fans. Man, the tank needs to be on. Let's just tank it up. Just start the tank. I'll buy a tank jersey and we'll be good. But just tank it up.
I mean, it's so easy to say that, but I mean, as we know, I mean, these guys aren't going out trying to lose.
No, but you like in every sport, the NBA is the best for.
We're
the Utah Jazz.
Connor Hellebuck for the rest of the year, and all of a sudden, Mark Scheifele's got a hangnail; he can't play. Kyle Connor, those guys are gonna be in there, and they're good enough to win some games. The thing is, there's a big enough gap. I mean, they're probably going to be finishing in that bottom 6, and if you're 6th. You've got, I think it's like an 8% chance of getting the number 1 pick, but there's a couple opportunities to move up. And if you can get lucky, you get lucky, and we'll hope that they can get a franchise-changing player in the early pick. Because, listen, if they were able to do that and they can come back and this season was an anomaly, you'll look back at probably saying, yeah, it really sucked last year, but it was sort of worth it based on what that could mean in the future. But, man, it does put a lot of people on notice going into next season based on just how disappointing this year was. I know your focus is going to be on CFL free agency as we get into tomorrow. What are you cooking? I imagine you'll have a little bit more content over on OB as we start getting some big-time CFL news.
Yeah, we'll be on with Christian O'Mell on a sports show from 7 till 9. I'll have a kind of a recap of the week on Friday, sports show from 7 to 9. I'll join the gang on the huddle with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tomorrow after Serezna's appearance. Jake Serezna will be here in town, ready to rope some folks. So at DT on OB on Twitter is the place to be for all our analysis. Throw some stuff at Russ Hobson on Global News, and we'll cover all things Bombers and free agency.
All right, we'll get back to translating that Bad Bunny performance, and we'll look forward to a full breakdown of what we were being told outside of the incredible production that we saw yesterday. DT, always great having you on the show, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, brother.
Good stuff. There he is at DT on OB, and lots of Bomber coverage coming up this week on 680 CGOB with Derek and the rest of their squad there. Guys, we now get ready for the Olympics and Olympic hockey. We're going to be talking about that with Connor and Michael in just a minute. Josh Fream still to come a little later on. But speaking of the Olympics, World Cup is coming up as well, which reminds me to remind all of you to get your tickets in today for the St. Boniface Hospital Mega Million Choices Lottery. Millions to win and a great cause to support. One grand prize winner will have the choice of one of 5 $1.5 million dream home options or $1.25 million cash, tax-free. But in addition to the massive grand prizes, there are so many other incredible prizes to win. If you get your tickets by midnight on Thursday, you'll be in for the ultimate bonus. Prizes worth over $140,000. Top prize, $75,000 cash, or one of some incredible vehicles from Genesis, Chevrolet, or Mitsubishi. Some shopping sprees at St. Vital Center, Polo Park, or Outlet Collection. And then, of course, that ultimate World Cup experience, which is tickets, hotel, airfare for 2, a World Cup game in Vancouver, valued at over $10,000 plus $2,000 cash. You'll also be in for $280,000 of early bird prizes and so much more. So don't wait. Get your tickets before the deadline for the ultimate bonus, which is Thursday at midnight. Go to stbmegamillionchoices.ca to get your tickets today, or get them in person at London Drugs or Red River Co-op locations. All right, Connor's going to jump on in just a minute with us. Hey, I want to thank our friends at Princess Auto. Fun talking to Bombers and free agency with DT. Won't be long before we're back at Princess Auto Stadium cheering on the blue and gold as they look to get back on top of the West and back to another Grey Cup. Of course, Princess Auto, proud sponsors of WST and the Bombers. Founded and headquartered right here in Winnipeg and serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new waiting for you over at Princess Auto. Pop by and see them in-store today. Shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Got to shout out the Derminator and our friends at Chuds Power Sports up in Gimli. Of course, Gimli's getting ready to host the Winnipeg Jets Town Takeover next month on the 19th. But right now, with this gorgeous weather, it is time to hit the trails. And, of course, Chuds Power Sports, the ultimate power sports superstore for 80 years here in Winnipeg, is ready for you to make the most of this winter and get ready for summer. Big Arctic Cat sales event right now, saving up to $2,500 on sleds. Great deals on the Polaris vehicles as well. And they've got so much more. You want to get out ice fishing? They got ice fishing shacks. Just planning on RVs for the upcoming spring and summer? You can get on that. Boats, motorcycles, bikes. They got a winter clear out right now on Suzuki's where you can take the cold out of winter pricing. There is so much waiting for you at Chuds Power Sports. Pop by and see them in person. Corner of Highway 8 and 231 in Gimli. And you can always also shop online 24/7, 365 at chudspowersports.com. Top right corner, click on that e-commerce store link for True North Parts. Some amazing clearance details on gear and accessories as well. And hey, Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery, I mean, we'll look forward to boat batteries, ATVs, sleds. I mean, they've got you covered. But right now, we're not out of the thick of the Winnipeg winter just yet. And if you do have battery issues or need a new battery, shop local and get the best prices in town at Manitoba Battery. 2 Winnipeg locations, Logan Avenue, Dover Court Drive, free battery testing if you need it. And of course, they will bring those batteries to your doorstep anywhere inside the perimeter as well if you need it. For all your battery needs, there's only one place to go. Save time and money with the best service in town, Manitoba Battery. Online today at manitobabattery.com. All right, let's get the little three-way going. Josh Fream coming up in 25 minutes on the program. Connor Rabchak joins us now after a spirited, extended WST Sunday Live yesterday, getting ready, not for the Super Bowl, for dropping the puck on the Olympic hockey tournament. What's going on? How are you?
Yeah, Huss, it was great. I'm doing well. It was a fun day yesterday with the Super Bowl. And of course, yeah, I think the spirited nature of Sunday Live and maybe the extended nature of it comes from the fact that we didn't talk about the Winnipeg Jets much at all. We talked a lot about the Olympics, previewing the upcoming week. On the women's side, we get Canada-USA tomorrow. I know Canada is dropping the puck right now against Czechia on the women's side, but tomorrow, Canada-USA. The men's tournament starts Wednesday. Canada plays their first game Thursday against Czechia. I'm so fired up. I can't wait for the hockey. The hockey's underway on the women's side. Can't wait for the hockey to get underway on the men's side. It's the best. It's the best. Best on best hockey is back, Huss, and I can't wait.
Hey, before we kind of dive into how Canada's lines looked and everything we learned from the weekend, quick thoughts on the Seahawks steamrolling New England in the Super Bowl yesterday. Not a lot of drama in that one.
Yeah, Huss. We talked about it. We previewed it a little bit. Just not really. It never really felt threatened by New England, right? Like there was a heavy 4.5 point spread. Usually for the Super Bowl, it's 3 points or it's close to a pick 'em or something like that. And you always felt Seattle's defense was going to be the difference, but you didn't think that, you know, it would be a defensive slog and like all of the field goals. Like New England's defense did a great job keeping them in it. It's just, it never felt like their offense was going to get going, and they never did. The Seattle defense was incredible. Mike McDonald and that coaching staff, the blitzes they were sending at Drake May, a 23-year-old in his first ever Super Bowl, like no wonder he was struggling. Some of the stuff he was seeing was unbelievable. They had 2 weeks to prepare for them. Clearly, they put together a great game plan. They have so many talented players on that defense. And then, yeah, on offense, they didn't turn the ball over in the playoffs at all. You've brought it up on the show today. They just ran the ball. Kenneth Walker, Sam Darnold didn't put it in harm's way. They didn't even need JSN, one of the best receivers in football, for a full quarter of that game because they were just running the ball and relying on their defense as he got checked out for a concussion and then came back. But definitely one of the Super Bowls of all time. Not one that I'm going to look back on in 10 years and be like, wow, that was incredible. But predictable, I'd say. Like New England got held to low scoring. Seattle won. I think that's kind of what we all expected going into it.
Now, I know you immediately went at halftime over to YouTube. How was the Kid Rock halftime show?
Come on, Huss. Don't do that to me, man. The Bad Bunny was good, though. Like, again, I think a lot of people's halftime takes, you talked about this on the Lock Shop with Dusty. I think, like, it's just become way bigger than the halftime show. It's like, what are we all doing here? Like, no one's even focusing on the halftime show. But, again, I'm not the intended target audience. I'm watching the Super Bowl anyways, and
they got us.
They got 135 million people to watch the halftime. It's the most watched halftime ever. I mean, they clearly got what they wanted. And yeah, I mean, I don't know any of the words either, but I was grooving along. I loved the set, loved the production. Thought it was good.
Yeah, no, it was again, for most people in North America, it was just one. I mean, listen, it was a Super Bowl produced halftime show. That everyone seemed to kind of be into. You didn't really know as much what was going on, but it was visually stimulating, I guess we'll go with. But the funny thing is, no one would be talking about this if there was a bit more of a game. But the bottom line was this was 12-0 going into the fourth quarter. And it was like a boa constrictor, just squeezing things out. Anyways, let's get to Team Canada. And Remo, coming out of the weekend, I was Barry Horowitzing myself big time when I saw that my guy Tom Wilson got the call with Connor McDavid and Macklin Celebrini. And I'm looking forward to having Pat and Jake on tomorrow as we sort of look at some of the Canada markets and some things we might want to get in. But as we get over to the Clean Line lines for our friends at cleanline.ca, there it is. McDavid with Celebrini and Tom Wilson, the top line. Reem, I'll start with you. What do you think of the guys that are riding shotgun with 97?
That was the big question, Huss, coming in. Who was going to play with Connor McDavid? And they really had, trouble, I think, at the Four Nations finding a guy to ride shotgun. And I think whatever you see now isn't going to stick, but intriguing that Macklin Celebrini, given such a big role on this team, wasn't part of the Four Nations, one of the few new guys, but yeah, he could make an impact. Tom Wilson on the top line. He's played top minutes in Washington for sure, and he's the guy who can go to that. I'm kind of surprised, they're going, if you look at the lines as a whole, surprised that they are going with McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby all down the middle. They're not trying, put them together. Could you do a super line with all three, or do the Nova Scotia connection with McKinnon, Crosby at some point? I'm sure, I guess McKinnon, Crosby.
You could
Marchand.
just swap. You could swap Suzuki and Crosby.
Yeah.
In just one swap, and then you've got that maritime line together. And Suzuki, of course, plays center. Normally, responsible 200-foot player. I mean, listen, it's not. It shouldn't be lost on us that Crosby right now is with Stone and Marner. And I know we think of Marner as this brilliant passer. Marner is a very good defensive player. Mark Stone probably has the best stick in the National Hockey League. So I do think that if they're looking, Connor, to, maybe get a little bit more juice out of that line if they need it at some point, a very simple Crosby for Suzuki switch, and that'll be something that John Cooper will have at his disposal if he needs.
Huss, that's exactly what my initial takeaway from these lines was when they go McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby down the middle. It's a good foundation to start from. And if Canada's steamrolling everyone with three of the best centers in the world down the middle, yeah, they're absolutely going to be a team that just keeps that rolling. And if they're losing in a game, you bump Crosby up. Maybe Tom Wilson's up there and he's not producing. You bump up Mitch Marner, who passed it to Connor McDavid in the final, as we all know and have seen the replay a million times. But I think this gives Canada a really good foundation. And I also find it very interesting that it's almost an admission that one of their biggest issues at the Four Nations was finding Connor McDavid line mates that worked with him, because they have 2 new guys, Celebrini and Wilson. They stuck him right on his wing and said, we're not even trying Reinhart, Marner, Stone. Point would have maybe been there, but all of these guys were at the Four Nations and they tried him with McDavid and they didn't like it. So they're trying 2 brand new guys on the team in Celebrini and Wilson. You're going to Barry Horowitz yourself with the Wilson pick. Liz and I will do the same. We talked for about 20 minutes on why Macklin Celebrini would be a perfect fit for Connor McDavid. Not exactly a hot take. Guys on pace for 120 points. But look, I love that line. John Cooper talked about how Tom Wilson is maybe one of the best F1s in the league, like forechecking, getting the puck to the talented players. That's exactly what he's going to do. And he's on pace for almost 40 goals. Like, he's not just a forechecking, hard-hitting guy. He's also really good at hockey. Like, this is Team Canada. There's a lot of talented players that can do a lot of different things. I think maybe the most shocking part of the entire forward core for me is Suzuki on the wing. In all of my mental mock-ups, I didn't think they would slide Suzuki over to the wing, but I like it. And again, my overall takeaway from the forward lines, really good foundation to start with, and gives Canada a lot of options if they're winning a game or losing a game to switch it around and score more goals.
Yeah, the one thing, it's funny because I'm sort of with you, like by going to 2 newcomers and putting them on with McDavid, not that they're not certainly worthy of them, but that's where they're starting, I think shows that they are looking for something different. At the same point, it maybe makes it a little more surprising that for an extra, they went with Jarvis over. We are talking a lot about Mark Scheifele, who certainly would have been under consideration. But the easiest thing for them would have been to do was just simply name Zach Hyman to the team and stick Zach Hyman with Connor McDavid. You know exactly what you're going to get. But they did, of course, go with Winnipeg's native Seth Jarvis instead of that comfort blanket, if you will, on Zach Hyman if they needed to go that direction.
Yeah. Go ahead, Remo.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, no, Zach Hyman. I mean, I thought that's who it would be, was Zach Hyman to play on the top line. But clearly they think Tom Wilson is the guy that, again, on pace for almost 40 goals, 6'4", one of the best forecheckers in the league. They think he can maybe be a Zach Hyman on steroids in a way, right? Like even better than Zach Hyman. And Hyman is on pace for almost 50 goals, or he's playing at almost a 50-goal pace because he did miss the start of the season. But yeah, again, I'm curious to hear, Remo, your thoughts on the decision to bring Jarvis, where, again, in this tournament, you can dress 13 forwards and 7D. So it says extras Bennett and Jarvis, but one of those guys will be in. I wouldn't be shocked if Jarvis is the 13th forward and they just play him for penalty kills because he's an elite penalty killer. But yeah, I'm curious, Remo, what are your thoughts on Jarvis over Hyman, Bedard, Scheifele, all of those guys?
I think they just went with familiarity. They needed someone who could get in there quickly, who knew the program. John Cooper talked today about how, for months they've been sending out their game planning information to players digitally. And, he had played last year, so I think it was pretty easy for them to pick these guys who had already been part of the team last year, like Sam Bennett and Seth Jarvis, and integrate them. I think it was, I don't know if there was really much debate after hearing what he had to say. And it is amazing that Sam Bennett, who was Conn Smythe Trophy winner, scored a huge goal for them in the Four Nations final to be an extra. But that just tells you the talent on this team. Macklin Celebrini makes his way on to the first line after not being on the team last year. And Sam Reinhart started on the top line, as you mentioned, with McDavid and Marner last year. And now he's on your fourth line. He scored, 57 goals in the NHL 2 years ago, 39 last year. I thought he was having a down year this year. Florida, they're doing so poor. But through all the injuries, he's almost point per game, 55, 57, 27 goals. And he's a guy who could certainly score when needed. So this team, very balanced lines, it looks like. But as you mentioned, swapping Crosby and Suzuki seems to be an option that's right there if you want to do it.
The only thing that completely triggers me looking at this is Binnington at the top of the goaltending chart. That is...
It's not ideal. It makes you nervous.
Logan Thompson should be starting this tournament for the Team Canada, period. Remo, if you want, get number 3 up. We'll listen to Seth Jarvis in a minute, the Winnipeg native who's now there. This from CBC. By the way, can we get Seth Jarvis some Canada gear? They've got all these players heading over, and like, I know he was a late ad, but I mean, they knew full well that there was this possibility of this happening. Can we please get Seth Jarvis maybe just at least a Canada hat? I mean, he looked like a fan that had won like a spot on the plane with the rest of the team that got to go to Italy. There he is, while everyone is in these crazy outfits that everyone have. I'm not sure what SSPCS is, but nice run. Of course, he was wearing the bomber shirt last week. But here's Jarvis locked down in Italy with Team Canada, talking about getting the call.
Everything's been great. Super excited. Nice to be around all the guys. Yeah, it was cool coming off, seeing all the people. Excited for us to be here.
You said, I mean, you were geared up, ready to go to Cabo here over the break. So, like, how have you made sense of the last 3 days preparing for this?
I mean, I think thankfully I kind of just go with the flow as it is. So this has been pretty easy for me. Just a little adjustment, obviously. Thought I was going to Mexico, but couldn't be more excited to be here and be around all the guys.
I think a lot of people have been wondering, like, your buddies from Winnipeg were big stars in the end at the Four Nations. I heard that they had flights ready to come hang out with you at Raleigh at some point over these last couple of weeks. So, like, what's the latest? Are they going to make their way over here?
I think they're going to try. Yeah. I think they're going to try. Obviously, they can't drive like they did last time, so that might be a little bit difficult for them. But I think their plan is to at least figure out a way and see if they can. And if they can, great. If they can't, I totally understand.
Nice to see. There's Seth Jarvis. They did get him one of those coats. I'm not sure whether it was just for the interview because it didn't look that good on the plane or what. But you're on the team, Seth. 3 Winnipeggers or Manitobans, I guess if you include Mark Stone and Travis Sanheim, on the team. Tom Wilson, though, let's hear. This is number 1, Reem. Tom Wilson's getting the chance to play on the right side with most likely 2 of the 3 finalists for the Hart Trophy this year, and Connor McDavid and Macklin Celebrini. Here's the big Washington winger on the opportunity of riding with Mac and Connor on line 1 for Team Canada.
Yeah, right to the penthouse with 2 amazing players, and it doesn't matter what line you're on, who you're playing with. There's so many great players in there, but it was fun to try and get used to those guys out there and make some plays with them, and a lot of speed, a lot of skill, a lot of IQ. So I'll just get them the puck.
Right. So I was going to ask you, like, what is it like getting used to trying to play off those guys, even the first time through?
Yeah, I mean, right now, the first day, everybody's kind of getting acclimated. All the drills, we're going over systems, and everybody's feeling each other out. There's some mini games, a little bit of everything, but I think just as a group, depending on each other, trying to get used to each other at this point. It's obviously early in the tournament, and just having fun and taking pride in our country and coming together as a group. So there's so many good people in that dressing room. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of.
All right, so there's big Tom Wilson. Not the Four Nations. Don't expect him to be throwing down with anybody, but Reem, this is a guy that is has turned into just an elite power forward in the National Hockey League. Connor talked about his ability to win puck battles and get the puck to the guys that he's playing with. He wasn't on that team last year, but man, he's getting a great opportunity right out of the gate to play with 2 of the most dynamic players on planet Earth.
Yeah, and he's having a great season. Last year maybe I wasn't a huge guy. I'd be like, hey, get Tom Wilson on this team. But again, another point-per-game guy, 49 points in 50 games, only 31 years old. Having a career year. His career high last year in points is 65. So, yeah, throw him on a line. As Connor said, a guy who can go down low in the corners, throw his body around. It's kind of like... your Nintendo Ice Hockey. You got your fat guy, you got skinny guy in Celebrini, and medium guy in McDavid. It's the perfect balanced line.
Knew this would end up coming
at
back
some
to
point.
Nintendo Ice Hockey at some point.
It's got it. Well, you don't think John Cooper sits down and makes lines? He's like, okay, that's the first step of coaching. You got to label your guys. Who's my skinny guys? Who's my medium guys? Who's my big guys? And then you got to make your lines. And I think he's done that. Here with these, that's how you get such great lines.
Make your lineup accordingly. Jokes aside, it was, Connor, very interesting to see the reports out of practice, not just for Canada, but the United States on the weekend. The U.S. went out, screwed around, laughed out there for 15 or 20 minutes, didn't do much, whereas Canada was entirely locked in on the task at hand, and that's getting ready for the Czechs on Thursday. It seems like from all the reports, and again, maybe we're getting more Canadian media reports, so take that for what it's worth. But it certainly sounded like Canada was all business, and that wasn't maybe the case of the teams from south of the border.
Yeah, exactly. And Huss, you look at I read this story on Nathan McKinnon today, and they asked him, like you're at the Olympics, what's the experience gonna be like? And he goes, I want to enjoy myself, but I'm not here to enjoy myself. I'm going to do everything I can to play well, and hopefully it's enough, and hopefully I can contribute. And then, don't you have to take this all in? No. He's here to play hockey. He's locked in. He's dialed in. He doesn't care about being in the Olympic Village, taking in Italy. No, he's here to play hockey. I love it. But yeah, the USA lines, you take a look here. I mean, I'm kind of shocked they didn't go Hughes Faber on defense. Those guys now play together with the Wild, but Hughes McAvoy is an unreal top pairing. Connor, Larkin, Thompson. I was hoping that USA would overthink it, and we're a long ways away from the gold medal game, assuming it's Canada, US, and if it is, I was really hoping USA would start by overthinking it and scratching like a Tage Thompson or something like that. But no, it's going to be interesting to see what lineup they roll out for their first game. Both of the Kachucks with Jack Eichel, top line Matt Boldy. We see a lot of Matt Boldy here in the Central Division. Austin Matthews named the captain as someone who's cheering for Canada. I kind of like that decision. And then, is Connor Hellebuyck. I don't mind Austin Matthews wearing the C for the U.S. I'm not going to lie. And then Connor Hellebuyck. We got reports. I know Mike McIntyre was at practice from the Winnipeg Free Press that he was kind of in his own net, and then Swayman and Ottinger were rotating in another net. So it looks like Connor Hellebuyck is probably going to get the game one start for the U.S. But yeah, I mean, their strength, like Canada's strength, as you look at their forward core, and it's nuts. The USA's strength is their blue line. I mean, Jake Sanderson might be their 7th D. They have Zach Werenski, who's tied with Cale Makar in Norris odds on their third pair or projected third pair. So their defense core is unbelievable. They didn't have Hughes or McAvoy in the Four Nations final last year, that final game, and now they have both of them together on the top pair. So easily Canada's biggest threat for a gold is the U.S.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Sanderson in what potentially could be a 7th defenseman role. And you knew both of those guys from the Wild were going to be getting their fair share of it. It looks like Clayton Keller and Vinny Trocheck are the extras, at least right now. The Tkachuk brothers with Eichel, that'll be an interesting group as we put that all together. Sounds like our women are up 1-0 in their game against the Czechs. The women, of course, have that makeup game they got to get to with the Finns that was delayed earlier on. But the next couple days, practices, and it's funny. This is like a long break, but it seems like forever, guys, until we finally get to drop the puck on one of these games. And, unlike the States who have, 3 relatively easy games, Canada's starting it right out of the gate with a very legit Czech team for their first test.
I've got the schedule, Huss, ready to go. Let me pull it up. The first games are Wednesday, but we do have Canada and Czech, 9:20? And then Friday, 2:10, Switzerland, I think is going to be so those first two, very tough. And then Sunday, I feel bad saying a bit of a breather, but France not exactly known for their hockey. So I'm, Binnington going to get the start on Thursday. We'll see how that plays out.
Insane.
They're going to go with him, say, hey, you did a great job last year. You've earned it. Will it last? I think just like last year, Logan Thompson is the more deserving goalie. And but hey, maybe Benner will play better. You ask Doug Armstrong, who's the GM of Canada and GM of the Blues. He says, they haven't really played well in front of him. And when you have a defense like the guys that they have on Canada, well, maybe he'll get to see some reasonable shots and not going to be all backdoor tap-ins. Although you could make an argument that he's not even the best Canadian goalie on his own team, because Joel Hofer from Winnipeg has had a great season, and even Eric Comrie's got better numbers on the season among Canadian goalies than Binnington. So it really hasn't gone well for him, but he has shown it in the past. I wasn't a huge Bennington guy, but I mean, he earned he earned one game based on the Four Nations. Like he won. I don't say he won them the game, but he made some huge saves that allowed them to be in the game. So credit to him, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, if he didn't go like just on another level in overtime, they don't win that gold medal. I mean, I will say he let in kind of a shaky goal in every game. I mean, it wasn't like he was just a brick wall from the start of the tournament. No. It was the end. And that's why, I mean, to me, he would have been a great, in case of emergency, break glass. Comes in with a chip on his shoulder after not playing, and maybe you get the best out of him. I'll let the second guessing begin right off the bat about not putting Logan Thompson in for the first game. Boys, great stuff. Tomorrow at this time, 2:30, Pat and Jake are going to join us. We'll get you guys to jump in as well, and we'll all make a few of our favorite prop bets for the Olympic Games. If you go to CoolBet right now, top point scorer, goal scorer in the tournament, as well as for all the teams, and already working on the card for tomorrow. So that'll be fun. We'll get to that right away. But thanks, Connor, for jumping in, and Remo. We're going to get back to the Super Bowl and look ahead to the NFL offseason in just a minute with Josh. Before we do that, of course, we just went over Canada and USA lines for the Olympic Games. Throughout the season, we're doing our jet lines for Clean Line. We'll continue that for the Olympic Games. Of course, Clean Line, plumbing, heating, and electrical is your one-stop shop for over 40 years of experience with the best in Winnipeg residential and commercial plumbing, as well as heating and electrical services. You see Big Adam Lowry there bringing the heat. He's got the backs of his teammates. Clean Line has your back 24/7, 365 with 24/7 emergency services when you need it the most. 204-500-2001 is that number. Mark it down, and hopefully you won't have to call them, but if you do, they have the experts that are on call for you 24 hours a day. Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the official plumbers of the Winnipeg Jets. Find them online at cleanline.ca. I know there's some people that are already looking to get Friday afternoon off work. We're going to have to figure out exactly how we're going to work this show on Friday because I know many of you would prefer to be at your local Boston Pizza cheering on Team Canada with all of your gang. No better place to watch the Olympic Games. Jets throughout the year, and of course, our dearly beloved parted football season. Boston Pizza is the spot for that. Great prizes to win for most games out at BP. And of course, ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, and gourmet pizzas, and so much more. Staying at home tonight, get the great taste of Boston Pizza by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. And hey, with the Olympics here, as we showed you on Friday, all sorts of great Canada Olympic gear waiting for you at Royal Sports. If you're looking for a hat, scarf, some of the mitts, not the $100 Lululemon mitts, but more affordable mitts with Canada on them. It'll take you back to Olympics of the past. It's all there at Royal Sports right now. They've got, I believe, a limited amount of jerseys remaining, some great hoodies, and so much more to support Team Canada during the Olympics. While you're there, the best in Jets and NHL merchandise. And for you Seahawks fans, it'll be a few days, and then the championship merch will be in over at Royal Sports. Check out the hockey department. Tons going on in the snowboard department right now. They've been so busy for the last couple months. It's all waiting for you at Royal Sports, Winnipeg's ultimate sports superstore, 750 Pembina Highway. Follow them on Instagram for the latest merchandise drops and sale information at Royal Sports Winnipeg. All right, Josh is teed up. First off, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's wrap the NFL season, put the Super Bowl to bed with our pal Josh Fream from the Winnipeg Free Press. Josh, this is that Monday. The Monday that we dread all year long. The beginning of the offseason. The season is over. Everyone's back to square one, but the Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champs. What'd you think of just their overall season and their run through the playoffs in a very convincing Super Bowl victory?
Yeah, I don't have much to do on Sundays anymore. So this is pretty much me staring at my TV waiting for football to come on and for the next 6 months or so. But yeah, man, that was impressive. That game went – it was kind of a bittersweet Super Bowl for me. That game went about as how I expected it would go, as far as I didn't think it was going to be overly competitive. But I tilted. My early lean was on Seattle -4.5 from a betting perspective, and I was pretty sold on -4.5. And then I tilted actually on Friday night, Saturday, and I actually decided that Sam Darnold to win MVP. Instead of taking Seattle money line, Sam Darnold to win MVP was probably going to be my better bet overall, especially getting it at plus money. Figured if Seattle was going to win, Sam Darnold was probably going to win MVP. But that game actually shook out a little bit differently in Seattle on offense-wise. I didn't think they were going to have quite as much success as they did in the run game, which went to a well-deserved Ken Walker. But that was kind of the bittersweet moment for me, was just from a pure betting perspective. But other than that, man, that was a Seattle Seahawks team that I'll be the first to say, I put my hand up and say I didn't see them reaching that point, reaching the Super Bowl this season. And part of the reason was their offensive line. I think anybody, if you had watched the Seattle Seahawks defense dating back to last year and Mike McDonald as the head coach, you knew that this was going to be a strong defense this year. But the problem with the Seattle Seahawks team was along their offensive line. So when Gino Smith got traded to Vegas and they bring Sam Darnold in to get over the hump, if you would, or take him to the next level, if you've been watching Sam Darnold, you know that this guy historically has not been necessarily a creator of sorts. It's kind of a guy who, he's not a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type of guy. He's a guy who, when the pocket is kind of collapsing down on him, he crumbled a little bit in past years. But so I was kind of thinking behind what was definitely an offensive line in the works and was far from a finished product, at least entering the season. Definitely didn't see Seattle being a team to make a deep playoff run, maybe a team that would be competing for a wild card spot. But the fact that they were able to make this run is kind of a testament, in my opinion, to how Sam Darnold has kind of evolved this season, because I think that he's evolved as a creator. I think he was one of the biggest most underrated parts of last night's game was Sam Darnold's ability to navigate within the pocket. He had a few times, 3, 4, 5 times, where a guy had him essentially dead to rights, and he found a way to navigate in the pocket and complete a pass, or at least get it out of harm's way. And I thought that was the difference really in the game in a lot of ways. But so that's a testament to Sam Darnold's evolution, and also the way that offensive line has kind of evolved and blossomed throughout the year, in my opinion. The defense is what it is. I mean, it's outrageously good, of course, but I just think that some props need to be given as well to the offensive side of the ball, which I think has performed much better than everybody, including myself, thought.
Yeah, and listen, there's no doubt, and there's been, the odd Trent Dilfer barb couldn't be more misplaced about Darnold with the way that he played this season, and listen, the numbers speak for themselves. Back-to-back 14-win seasons. Only Tom Brady did it. He's the only guy that did it on different teams. We were joking earlier. I mean, who had a more upset stomach watching that game? Viking fans, knowing that they'd let Sam Darnold go and saw what he was doing, given another chance in the playoffs, or Buffalo Bills fans watching what the AFC served up in the Super Bowl in a year that Patrick Mahomes, their personal boogeyman, along with Josh Allen, or along with Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, weren't even in the playoffs. I mean, this one was ripe for the taking when you look at the AFC for the Bills, and that must have been excruciating, especially having the Patriots of all teams, the team that used to prevent them from doing things in the playoffs before the Chiefs came around, actually in the big game and putting up not much resistance to a Seattle team that just owned the game from start to finish.
Well, how about I'll serve up a third option for you as far as teams that were sick to their stomach. How about the Los Angeles Rams? Right? They go and they're in the NFC Championship. They are rolling all season. They go and play their division rival in a game that is that offense, the way that offense performed, you're winning, 9 out of 10 times. And they didn't come through in that. They didn't win that game. And then they go and play. They see the team that they would have played in the Super Bowl. I mean, I think the Los Angeles Rams, if you're going to look to another team that might be waking up kind of sick to their stomach this morning, it's probably them and Matt Stafford.
Well, dude, and speaking of the Rams, I'll be honest, I'm sort of with you. And, we saw Seattle with the good start. And I, like many people, was, well, okay, we'll see where this shakes out. But I'm still not thinking that, they're going to be the team that comes out of even that division, never mind the NFC.
Yeah.
And then, for my money, the game of the year, that Thursday nighter, the 38-37 overtime win.
Yeah.
That was the moment where I thought, okay, you know what? This Sam Darnold is earning another opportunity under the bright lights with the playoff pressure. And, he passed the test in a big, big way in that game. And then we saw him do the exact same thing in the NFC Championship game where he was just a little bit better from Matt Stafford, who won the MVP, who had Sean McVay and that brilliant offense going. And that was the only offense really all season long that got to the Seahawks.
Totally.
I mean, they had to go and put up big, big numbers if they wanted to win, because for whatever reason, that Rams offense, as good as they are, is a little bit of kryptonite for the Seattle defense, and they were able to get into the 30s, and yet it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's a testament to Sean McVay and how brilliant he is as well against Mike McDonald and that defense, man. Listen, if you're watching the Seattle Seahawks defense in previous years, I mean, and then you look at the draft of John Schneider. By the way, side note, Elliott Wolf, John Schneider, both former Packer guys. I mean, we developed the best, okay, over there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, in Titletown. That's what we do. Of course, we need to get over the hump ourselves, but we develop our GMs well over there. But I digress. You look at the run that John Schneider's been on just in the draft, man, with the first and second round picks, and then this year, I mean, the fact that they go and get Nick Eamon-Wari in the second round, man, that was like, he is Kyle Hamilton 2.0 as far as what he means to Mike McDonald and what he means to that Seattle Seahawks defense. So once he kind of came in, I don't think anybody saw him necessarily having that big of an impact this year, but he kind of made himself just an invaluable piece on that defensive side of the ball for Seattle. That defense, man, is just, as far as we've seen the winning recipe now 2 years in a row. This is, you want to look at, who do you think can rush with 4 off defensive linemen, get pressure with 4 defensive linemen, stop the run with 4 defensive linemen, essentially, or limit the run with 4 defensive linemen. If you can get after the quarterback with 4, you are going to have a chance to win. You saw the Houston Texans be able to do that this year. You saw the Seattle Seahawks be able to do that this year. I mean, you saw even the Denver Broncos be able to do that this year, and they made it to the AFC Championship game. You saw the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl last year being able to do that. That is the recipe, man. Going forward, you talk about the defense wins championships and all of that. I mean, it's very true, but the recipe above all else, in my opinion, get home with 4, and it's going to be beaten to death throughout the offseason. It's probably going to be beaten to death throughout next season. That is the recipe, man. If you can find a team throughout the year, you want to place a futures bet, whatever the deal is, or have a horse in the race, look at the team that can get home with 4 and make their impact that way.
And you know what? And that really is not anything new. I mean, no. Go back to the Giants. I mean, the Giants beating the Patriots in those ones. I mean, JPP and Strahan, those guys up front, they never had the blitz. And that gave Tom Brady fits. The teams that have been able to get to Mahomes over the years, it's the exact same thing. I mean, for the truly elite quarterbacks, if you're going to bring a bunch of guys, that leaves holes in your secondary, and they will find them and they'll expose them. If you only have to bring 4 and can get that pressure on and add an extra body or 2 in the secondary, even the best in the world have a tough time moving the football. And that is one constant, and part of the reason why I think over the last number of years we've seen even more of a premium on defensive linemen and edge rushers when we get to the early parts of the NFL draft.
Oh yeah, no, man. Edge rushers, premium position. All revolves around the quarterback. You know, premium positions. Can you have a quarterback You have a playmaker for the top playmaker for the quarterback to throw to. Can you get after the quarterback, so an edge rusher, or can you have a guy who can stop the quarterback from making plays as far as a cornerback, right? Those are and then you have obviously the guy who can protect the quarterback as far as left tackle or right tackle. It all revolves around the quarterback. Those are the 5 or 6 premium positions in football. But yeah, and speaking as far as a guy who can protect the quarterback, I mean, that we're going to see this offseason as far as Will Campbell goes with the New England Patriots, because Seattle bullied that offensive line. That New England Patriots team, kind of in a lot of ways, I don't know if you felt the same way. I kind of put the Patriots and the Bears in the same buckets this year as far as teams who I expected to make significant jumps as far as competitive level goes, but teams that made way further runs in the playoffs than I thought that they would. And team New England, actually really Chicago, I thought they were a year too early as far as being in the divisional round. And then New England, definitely a year too early being in the Super Bowl. And so, but I mean, we'll see. Just going back to Will Campbell for a second. I mean, that's a guy we'll see. I think he's going to be I think he could be an all-pro guard, but that is if there's one takeaway for New England Patriots fans coming from last night, it's Will Campbell, the shorter arms that was the knock on him coming in the draft. That was on pure display against the top edge rushers in the league in this playoffs. Will Anderson, Nick Bonito, and now you got the Seattle Seahawks in there at their quartet of edge rushers that they deploy. That was on full display. So Will Campbell, move him inside, get a new tackle, which kind of sucks, hurts to swallow as far as wasting a fourth overall draft pick on a guard. But regardless, that's I think the takeaway for New England.
Yeah, I mean, they are the first ever Super Bowl team to start rookies beside each other on an offensive line. They had a rookie guard there as well. And
they're going to be good. I think both players are going to be good. It was a year.
And they had to go up against Seattle in the Super Bowl.
It just felt like a year too early this year for New England. Personally, I thought they were good, but just not that good.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up because, I mean, listen, they've got Vrabel, they've got a talented young quarterback. There's no guarantees that, you do that at 23. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks that have gone to the Super Bowl in their second year, no one's got back there again.
Yeah.
And it was funny to see Drake May as the second youngest quarterback ever to start in the Super Bowl behind Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Dan Marino never got back either. And, this was a very fortunate run by the Patriots. I mean, the bottom line is they had an all-time cream puff schedule. They had some incredible good fortune through the playoffs, and I think we saw that sort of exposed in the big game. But the AFC is so wide open right now. I mean, when you look, and I'll pull this up, we'll ask you in a minute. We'll look at the futures for next year.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear where the strength lies in the NFC. You could make an argument for about half a dozen teams in the AFC going into the offseason. Now, things are going to change with the draft and free agency as well. But, I mean, it was such a unique year with some of the top teams that were always used to being there, not there. And then with the way that the playoffs played out, I mean, C.J. Stroud being so bad in that game. And then the Broncos, finding a way to win and then not having Bo Nix. And then, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm happy the Patriots won because I think if Jarrett Stidham was starting, I mean, that could have been even uglier than that game was yesterday. But for anyone that was fearing that the Super Bowl was the NFC Championship 2 weeks ago, I mean, I think we basically found out yesterday that was indeed the case.
Yeah, no question about that. I'm fascinated to see because I think a team like Seattle is going to be right back in contention again next year. As far as I just look at the coaching, Like, I mean, I look at coaches that are right. Like, I mean, Mike Vrabel, I would think you talked about how, New England, there's no guarantee. And I agree, there's no guarantee, but I'd like to think Mike Vrabel is going to have his guys competing again next year and they'll be in the conversation again next year. Same with Seattle, I would think as well. But there's a ton of teams that just have these little question marks around them. I mean, Kansas City, you'd think is going to be right back there. Your Chiefs, man. Do you think they'd be right back in the mix? But they're going to depend a whole ton on what they do as far as their roster movement and stuff like that. I'm curious to know about the Baltimore Ravens, but the team that I think that I have the biggest question mark around is how does the Buffalo Bills rebound from this? I mean, Joe Brady felt like a safe hire. I mean, he felt like a guy who made sense. A lot of him eventually getting the job? Were there other better options out there probably that I would prefer as far as if your Super Bowls are your aspiration? Sure, I think so. But Joe Brady felt like a safe pick overall. And I just wonder, though, is he the guy to kind of deliver that Super Bowl to Buffalo? And how does Josh Allen bounce back from this mentally? I mean, the offense itself, I don't know. The offense definitely struggled this year with Josh Allen and the weapons they had, but the defense has to be the biggest disappointment in Buffalo. And that now with Sean McDermott gone, I mean, and Bobby Babich gone, two of their brilliant defensive minds both gone. I mean, how does that unit bounce back that was already underwhelming this year? I think Buffalo is the team for me that is just like, what do we do with that team? Like, where do we bucket them? You know what I mean? And you would think with Josh Allen, they're going to be back in contending a playoff team, and they probably will be, but they're a team that you would expect to be competing for championships. And right now, I don't know if we can say they're going to be competing for championships.
The offseason's already been a disaster, from the firing to the Terry Pegula press conference, the backing the bus up over Keon Coleman. I mean, there's that team will look different. Bottom line is Josh Allen needs some more playmakers at the receiver position. They got an all-pro running back in Cook. But he just did not have the weapons and had to do so much of it himself. Have you taken a look at the futures for next year yet?
I saw the Super Bowl odds. I saw the Packers, I think, are 5th, so that's all I cared about.
Yeah, so just going over to Coolbet right now, the Seahawks are the favorite for next year to repeat a plus 750. And then the Rams are right there, like they were basically all season long.
Yeah.
The Rams are at 8-1. There's a gap. I do question, I mean, listen, I'll take it. Being a Kansas City guy, but it is interesting that the Ravens and Bills are at 12-1, and then you got Kansas City and the Chargers at 15-1. Green Bay and the Lions at 14, and the Eagles at 15. Got to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that the Packers and the Lions are both significantly ahead of the Bears based on the season that they had so far. I would have thought that those teams would have been sort of grouped together. Yeah. Niners at 16, Patriots 17-1, Broncos 18-1. I mean, those were the 1 and 2 teams in the AFC this year, and it seems like the books certainly are putting a lot of stock into the schedules that those teams played last year and the ones that they're going to have to play this year as division winners, Josh.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I'm trying to think what to make of that. Like, I mean, there's the Packers, the whole NFC North thing. I mean, that just feels like that. I mean, once again, this division, I think I was on this show a while back, and maybe like even over a year ago now. And we were talking about how this NFC North was just going to be an absolute bloodbath. And who knows, let's not also, I'm just going to throw Minnesota out there as well with Kevin O'Connell still there. And who's their quarterback next year? Is it Kirk?
60-1.
Right. I mean, I'm just going to throw, like, they'll be there, they'll be around that in that division as well. So, I mean, and who knows what happens with the defense. The thing I'm curious about as well, like the Chargers to me kind of jump out a little bit. I like the Chargers. I'm going to be a Justin Herbert truther until the day he retires, I'm sure, but I'm a big fan of his and the game he plays, but especially with Jim Harbaugh leading the way there. And now they got obviously Mike McDaniel there as the offensive coordinator. That should be a ton of fun. And then let's see what happens on the defensive side of the ball now that they lost Jesse Minter, right? Going over to Baltimore. But that's the team that I think I'm most curious about, because what can they do on offense? And now they're going to get to their two of their best players, and Joe Alt, their left tackle, and then Rashawn Slater, their right tackle. They're going to have a healthy offensive line again. And this defense, once again, that'll be the big question mark for me. Losing your coordinator is never easy. But that'd kind of be the team for me that I just intrigues me. A lot of people are going to roll their eyes and say the Chargers never get it and end up getting it done. But them, and then, yeah, you mentioned Detroit. I mean, Detroit and Green Bay as well. I think those are two teams that I think they're going to be in it till the end, essentially.
Some of the other notables, we mentioned New England 17, Broncos 18. Texans are also at 18-1. The Jags are 20. Bears 25. Bengals 28. Dallas 35. Tampa's got a 40. And then 60-1 on the Vikings, Colts, Commanders, Steelers. Falcons 65. Giants 70. And then hundreds for Saints, Panthers, Titans, And then
Yeah.
it gets bigger when we start talking about the Jets, the Browns, the Raiders, the Dolphins, and the Arizona Cardinals. Speaking of the Raiders for a minute, was there a bigger loser yesterday than poor Gino Smith? Like, Gino gets traded. They move on from Gino. I think they got a couple picks for him to come back. He actually made, and like next year, he's making 37.5.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's making 33.
Yeah.
The Seahawks move on from him, win the Super Bowl, and the team they trade him to finishes dead last.
Yeah.
Picked first in the draft, and Mendoza's minus 10,000. So you know that he's going to be going to the Raiders, and
Sure.
I love that guy. It's going to be tough for me to hate him in as the Raiders quarterback, but the Geno Smith story, and almost not fair to Geno. The guy's been through so much. I mean, starting off with the Jets, managing like Sam Darnold to resuscitate his career, but he's the one that hey, he's very well compensated. No one's going to be having any bake sales for Geno.
Sure is.
But it'll be interesting to see kind of where he goes, whether the Raiders move on from him, whether they keep him as a number 2 to sort of be a bit of a mentor for Fernando when they're there.
Yeah, and Clint Kubiak coming along. I think the Raiders are a team that's interesting, right? Because and then you think about Tom Brady being there, and it just feels like they're, you would hope that they're on the come up. You feel like that they have some competent minds there in the building that are going to lead them to what maybe some more promising results for sure. But Fernando as well, you talk about minus 10,000 be the first pick. I mean, that kind of helps as well. The fact that he has not really much competition anymore, and as far as the draft goes, everybody has returned back to college football for another year. The 2027 class, though, I mean, that is going to be phenomenal class. But yeah, overall, the Raiders that's a team. I don't know what to do with Gino. I think he would be gone if I'm the GM. But and then he would find another place to go, because I mean, he's going to get picked up. I've always been a guy with Gino who's I think I've been a little bit higher than him on most as far as for his career. It's just this season. I don't know if anybody, I don't know if Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson were having any much success behind that Raiders offensive line this year. I'm not trying to say that Geno Smith was good in any way, shape, or form this year, but he definitely he wasn't dealt the greatest hand. But the Raiders are a team for me, along with Clint Kubiak. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs next year. They have a long ways to go as far as drafting and acquiring talent, but the Raiders are even a team who, if you want to look at, improve at least marginally next year with some competent coaching and guys in the building, and hopefully a competent quarterback, they can build that offensive lineup. We'll see what happens with Max Crosby. That could be a team that can maybe even add a few more wins to their record.
Yeah, if they trade Crosby, I mean, they're going to get a couple first rounders for him for sure. I mean, that'll kind of be in the Micah Parsons the Micah Parsons area. We'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, we got free agency, we got a draft coming up, and then we'll get into some CFL football and start waiting for training camps to get going. Josh, great stuff as always, man. Thanks for jumping on. Fill people in on what's keeping you busy over at the Freep these days.
Oh man, we got lots of exciting amateur stuff coming up, man. Like there's the Bisons women's volleyball. They should be hosting some playoff games again. The defending national champions. They should be hosting some playoff games in Canada West again this year. The Westman men's basketball team, they're hosting the quarterfinals on Saturday at Duckworth Center as well. So I'll be there to cover that. And then Bisons and Westman, they have thinking men's volleyball for the Westman, men's volleyball for the Bisons. Women's volleyball I mentioned, and then there's another one that I'm forgetting, women's basketball for Bisons. They're in Calgary, I believe it is, or they're out west somewhere this week to play-in. So a lot of volleyball and basketball playoffs for university stepping up right away. And then also kind of been going under the radar as well. I don't know if anybody's a fan of track and field, but U of M's hosting the National Track and Field Championships beginning of March, or end of February, beginning of March. So that should be interesting if anybody wants to take that in.
Good stuff, Ben. Let's catch up again soon. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
We're already starting to mock for next year's fantasy draft.
Oh, no question. No question.
Take it easy. There's Josh. Hey, and speaking on a local level, I know we're paying attention watching our curlers out at the Olympic Games, but big congratulations to Braden Calvert, who is going to finally get a chance to throw on the Buffalo at the Briar. The skip from Carberry got the win yesterday in an extra end over Jordan McDonald. Two sort of new names. It's been Matty Dunstone and Reed Carruthers for so long. So some new blood in Manitoba men's curling. And congratulations to the Calvert rink and good luck at the Briar. We'll have to catch up with those fellas before they get over there. All right, couple things we want to get to. Hey, starting tomorrow, we'll have details on how you might be able to join me at Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge coming up this summer, working with the the Health Sciences Center Foundation. They've got their big gala coming up on the 22nd. We'll fill you in on all the amazing prizes and whatnot that they've got there. Tons of great sports memorabilia that are available in the auction. But one of the prizes is a trip for two to come out to Aikens Lake, hosted by yours truly, Mark Larveld. Won it last year. We had a great time with he and his brother out at the world-class Aikens Lake Lodge. So pay attention to that on the show over the next couple of weeks. We'll have details on it. And, of course, Pitt and the gang out at Aikens. It is winter right now, but they are continue to get ready for what should be an amazing bounce-back fishing season after lost a few days last year due to the forest fires. They're over 75% booked for this year. So if you're thinking about a world-class fly-in fishing experience here in the province where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens Lake is the spot. As incredible as the world-class fishing is, it is the hospitality of the Terren family and the Aikens team that really makes it even more special. Find out more today on the upcoming season of fishing over at aikenslake.com. All right, let's get over to the Cool Bet lines for today. Now, I know we were just going through all of the futures for the upcoming NFL season. I think I'm going to be putting down a marker on the Chiefs at 15-1, as I often do. But there's a couple other numbers that are really, really interesting. And I think that Viking number, to me, at 60-1 is insane. I'm going to have to put something down. I mean, if they can get, I think there still is hope that J.J. McCarthy can turn into that guy. But if not, they get another quarterback option in there. The rest of the roster's pretty darn good, although Kwesi got fired. He wasn't a particularly good drafter. I think they can take care of business there. And maybe the pain of this season for Viking fans watching Sammy Darts go to Seattle and do it and take them all the way and win the Super Bowl will be a little bit eliminated. But right now over at CoolBet, it's all about the Olympics. And tomorrow on the program, we will do our best bets for the Olympic ice hockey tournament for the men. Canada has dropped from plus 120 to plus 110 to win the event. USA is second at plus 215. Then is the Swedes at plus 650. Finland at 13-1. The Czechs, who Canada is going to open the tournament against, 25-1. McDavid is the favorite for the MVP at plus 550. Nate McKinnon 9-1. You've got top three numbers. We got winners of the groups. USA's got such a soft group. Germany, Latvia, and Denmark. Whereas Sweden and Finland, they're going to play in the round robin. That will be a hell of a game. Those teams don't like each other very much. Slovakia and Italy. And then Canada, Czech, Swiss, and France, the other group. You got goals scored in round robin, tournament top goal scorer, point scorer, and then we kind of dive into the top point scorers from the teams. I do see Macklin Celebrini at 11-1 for top point scorer, 7-1 for top goal scorer on Team Canada, 30-1 for the tournament. I'm very high on Celebrini's options or possibilities going into this event with Connor McDavid. But tomorrow, Jake and Pat, myself, Michael, Connor, will get some picks from those guys with our best bets for the upcoming Olympic hockey tournament. There's also totals on all the players that you can go through for pretty much everyone. And then, stage of eliminations. It's going to take you a little bit to get through this, but it's all up there right now at coolbet.com. There's odds for snowboarding. There are odds for freestyle skiing. We've got snowboard. We've got speed skating. So we've got it. Everything is up there right now. Many of these sports are ones that I don't know a lot about, but I will be paying attention to when it's taking place. I think where most of the bets are going to happen is on the Olympic hockey. We do have the Olympic curling. Oh, and that gets going tomorrow. Brad Jacobs' first game right now is going to be at noon tomorrow, which means we look at the curling futures, and it's Great Britain the favorite to win at plus 105, Canada plus 185 in the 2-hole. And NHL futures as well. We'll spend a little bit more time on this during a few shows, but they've got all the divisions have been recalibrated. The odds for the trophies at the end of the year, over under point totals for every team, as well as make the playoffs numbers for all of these teams. Bad news for the Jets, the second longest odds on the board to make the playoffs behind Winnipeg. I guess they've just taken Vancouver right off of the board on this one. But 10-1 to make it, minus 33 to miss the playoffs. It's all waiting for you over at CoolBet. If you haven't played a CoolBet before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. And stay tuned over the course of the next week. We'll look at the schedule and we'll plan some more dates for more poker tourneys with our friends over at CoolBet. Let's get Michael Remis back in here. And Reem, fun show today, talking a lot of Super Bowl, getting the latest on the Bombers as we get into free agency. But the rest of this week, real focus on the Olympics and, of course, the Team Canada games coming up Thursday at 9:40, I believe, and then Friday afternoon. And we're going to have to figure out how we're going to work around that. Maybe a pre-version of the show as well as some post-game stuff.
Yeah, I got the Canada women game on right now. Canada, Czechia in the women. 5-0. Canada just scoring. Canada.
Has Poulin returned?
I'm not sure. I have it on mute, and I saw that she left with an injury. But Canada, Czechia men, yes, Thursday, 9:30. The tournament does kick off Wednesday, 9:40 a.m., Slovakia, Finland. It's a decent game. 2:10 p.m. Sweden, Italy. But Thursday's the big one with Canada, Czechia. Switzerland, France is at 5:10. 2:10 on Thursday is Latvia, USA. Also Germany, Denmark. Friday morning, I may set my alarm for this. 5:10 a.m., Finland, Sweden.
Oh, that's a 5:10 a.m. game?
Well, they got to cater to the people there too,
Yeah,
right?
That's like at noon. That's the curtain jerker.
I didn't make the schedule. I don't, and so
That should have been a later game.
Well, Canada's 2, and then 9:40 is France, Czechia. I guess everyone gets a turn with whatever time. I guess USA gets the 2:10. USA Saturday, and then Canada's Sunday 9:40. So I don't know. I'll have to wake up for that one. I think Friday 5 o'clock. I'll set my alarm. We'll see if I can stay awake. But I mean, it's Olympic hockey. It's best on best. And you know what the best part is? And I'm bookmarking my tweet, and I'll be saving it for the first Canada game Thursday, and I can send it out, or maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. No digital board ads. Let's savor this. Let's enjoy it. It's the best part of it. Forget seeing
Leave it
McDavid.
to you to focus on the board ads as opposed to the
Who
best
cares?
on best.
I could care less about McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby being on the same team. I could care less about best on best. What I really care about when I'm watching Olympic hockey is no digital board ads. I don't need to see us a PowerPoint presentation in the background while I'm trying to watch a freaking power play.
I will say this. It's incredible for the IOC, an organization which has been all about money for so long.
Mm-hmm.
For them to not have the digital ads actually is a complete shocker. But I'm with you. I'm here for it. I'm just looking at the women. They've got just a nice Olympic theme all around it.
They better not have digital board ads. I don't want to see the...
That would be great. I would love it. I actually hope that there are some just so we can get your reaction after you tune in for the first Canada game and go, wait a second.
Imagine
they're there.
Yeah, imagine having an iconic goal and you can't even see it because a player is blending in to the boards because the technology is so poor. So we'll have to. Well, my fingers are crossed. As I've been thinking about no digital board ads for the Olympics for a long time. I've grown to get used to them, but I still hate them.
Rob Mahoney, digital board ads are life. Stop destroying the software industry. Remo needs to be stopped.
There's nothing worse than when, I don't mind them. I just mind when they change, like mid-play. Like, so dumb. Well, it's actually really smart because I can't watch the game. I can only watch the ads. Speaking of that, I don't know if you saw any of the Super Bowl ads. I saw a couple of them. I don't really have a strong opinion one way or another on those from yesterday.
Oh, there was a funny ad that I saw. The one with Ben Stiller and that Benson Boone, the guy that does the flips, like when he's singing.
Saw that. Okay, I saw that on Instagram.
That one stopped us in our tracks when we were watching the game yesterday. That one was hilarious. Did a full like WWE style bump.
Yeah, that one was good. The one people are talking about is I was watching the game and I was like, am I on the karaoke channel? What's going on here? And it was the Backstreet Boys one. They just had the words on the screen. And it was for like Coinbase. And I think everyone, when it showed Coinbase, they're like, F that. So
what's Coinbase?
It's like a crypto exchange.
You know what? Maybe they do. Maybe it's a good time to buy.
Buy low.
Didn't crypto get like wiped out, like half of everything pretty much in the last little bit?
I'm only keep track of like the New York and Toronto Stock Exchange, but I believe it is not doing well. Yes.
Yeah, Bitcoin went from like over 100K US to like 60.
Yeah. Oh, it rebounded a little.
What's it at today?
95
Canadian?
95. Yeah, Canadian 95,000. Ooh. This is a low. This is like a low. It's not. It's okay, I guess. I don't know enough about Bitcoin to offer an opinion.
Yes, yeah. We won't have a crypto segment.
Yeah, I'm not touching.
Don't know much about crypto.
I'm not touching crypto. I'm not touching.
I did. You know what? It's funny. I do remember that the Ben Stiller, Benson Boone, or whatever his name is, ad.
What's that for?
I believe it was for Instacart.
Oh, yeah, it was Instacart. I've never used that.
No, but maybe you will now because they had a great ad at the Super Bowl.
What do? We do the Superstore delivery, whatever their app is. Pretty good. PC Express.
The No Frills ad was the best.
I've never been to No Frills.
Remember that one? Well,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I saw that
one. Good stuff, guys. Well, anyways, listen, fun show today. Putting that NFL season to bed. We're all in on the Olympic Games. A little bit of NHL at the break over the course of this week as well. But tomorrow on the program, Murat's going to join us. We will discuss Jets at the break and moving forward, and then get into Team Canada and everything else going on when the men's hockey tournament begins on Wednesday, as well as the rest coming out of the Olympics, the beginning of the curling tournament before. We'll follow that while we're live on the air. So if you're able to, make sure to join us live tomorrow at 1 o'clock p.m. here on Winnipeg Sports Talk, and otherwise at your leisure on the YouTube channel. And, of course, shout out to all you podcast listeners for making us a part of your day. That is going to do it for us. Congratulations to Sammy Darts and the Seahawks, your Super Bowl champs. Great show today. Thanks to Josh for jumping on, DT as well. We'll have much more on Bomber Free Agency throughout the course of this week as we get going. But join us tomorrow to continue to count down to Canada. Men's hockey, best on best. What we've been waiting for 12 years, or at least since the last Four Nations. We're going to get going. That is going to do it for us, everybody. Have a great night. Get outside. By the way, River Trail, absolutely bananas on the weekend. Perfect weather for getting outside and checking it out. It's going all the way down to the Hugo Dock right now. Highly recommended. But yeah, get outside, enjoy the weather a little bit, enjoy the Olympic Games, and we'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a great one, everyone.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.